This is a video showing the use of the Fusion Tables Archive tool. This tool will read your Fusion tables, which consist of tabular data, and it will make a copy of them in either a sheet or a CSV. This tool needs essentially 4 different scopes, 3 of which are official scopes. The first scope is that it must be able to read the Fusion tables data. So we get the Fusion tables read-only scope. The second scope is that we will need to be able to find the list of Fusion tables in Drive. And here you can see that I am in the Drive recent view, or actually just Drive, and I can search on table, which gives all the Fusion tables, right? And it shows that I have 4 Fusion tables. So the second scope is to be able to actually read the Drive metadata. We use Drive metadata read-only scope for that. We're going to make copies of these Fusion tables. These Fusion tables have the icon that looks like a bar, and we're mostly writing a sheet, or we might write a CSV. So we need the scope to write these new files, and this is the Drive file scope. And then we don't actually need a scope for sheets. We seem to get that automatically with the Drive file scope. So let's take a look at the tool. You can see that the URL is fusiontables-archive.withgoogle.com. When we tap there, we come to the landing page. It gives us a nice description of what it's going to do. It tells us what is going to happen. It is the Fusion Tables Archive tool right here. And we list the scopes that we're going to use. Fusion Tables read-only to read the data, Drive metadata read-only to read the list of tables, and then create and update the files and folders. We have privacy and terms of service links, and we have the standard Oauth client sign-in. Let us try that. And it is very clearly the Fusion Tables Archive. That's the URL. You can see in the URL we have our Oauth client ID. I believe this is the Oauth client ID right there. Where the heck is that thing? From there. Right, that is the Oauth client ID. We have to choose an account, the standard Oauth flow. The account name is a test name, so it's called Fusion Tables. It's just a test account to do this. We're going to log in. We obviously are not verified yet. We have to advance, go to unsafe. We are presented the dialog boxes for each screen, view the Fusion tables, view your data. You have to be able to read the Fusion tables. You need to be able to get a list of the Fusion tables. So this is that scope, and the last scope is to actually write new data. So we're going to allow all that. So that is the final consent screen, and we're going to allow this. So the tool will now read the 4 Fusion tables we had. In Drive, remember we had 4 Fusion tables, California, Washington counties, U.S. counties, and U.S. congressional districts. It shows all of these. We are also going to record the copying that we do. There's a special sheet here called the Fusion Tables Archive Index, and I've added a last line here for what the way the sheet looks already. And we can see that this is the last line before we export, and we will be adding some additional lines showing what we do. So this is also just a folder in Drive, and you can see that it's the FT archive folder within Drive. We do all our copying into that folder. So I will make a copy of the Washington State counties and the US counties Fusion tables. So this will actually make a CSV and a new sheet with that data. I will hit export tables, And at this point, we know the tables. We're simply reading the Fusion tables and creating a sheet and a CSV with the corresponding data. So this gives a link to the new sheet we've created. This gives the visualization. The counties table is quite large. It made a CSV, and it also has visualizations. So when we go to look at the sort of index sheet, it records every time we do this so users can find their new sheets. This was the previous line, and now we have new lines, one for the Washington counties, one for the states, and you can see that we've recorded that we made these copies. This tool also creates visualizations, so I look at the Washington counties, I can click on this and see that I now have a sheet, and that sheet contains the Washington counties that I need. This visualizer also needs to get scope so it can read the sheet. So it is doing that. It's the same. It is basically the drive files, right? And so we allow that. And there we can see the counties. We can also see this in the Google security page for the accounts at google.com. So this should show that this is the app, and it is using that Oauth client ID, and it is using all those scopes because we had to read the table, get a listing of the tables, and make a copy. And this is being created from the sheet. So the time of day is Monday, 6:07. What day is today? Monday, July 22nd. In our listing, we can see, I think we're using Greenwich Mean Time, so it actually says the 23rd, 5 o'clock, but this was actually done right now. This is after that blue line, which was our last line. And that ends the recording.